Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 157. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist, and number one best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction: Align Yourself with the Manifesting Conditions and Successfully Attract Your Desires. I'm also the founder of hiptalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores today. And today I have a very special guest with me, Gull Khan. Did I pronounce that right? Gull Khan?
Yes, you did. Hi, Victoria.
Perfect. Hello. It's so good to see you. And we've been chit-chatting a little bit beforehand, so we've gotten into some good rapport here already. And so Gul Khan is an author, an international speaker, a podcaster, a barrister, an attorney, and a solicitor, and an intuitive life coach, an EFT expert, an energy healer, a money mindset expert, and a mother. And as a money mindset expert and healer, Gull helps entrepreneurs to break free from their limiting beliefs about money so that they can live a life of unlimited abundance. I'm so tongue-tied today, but that is natural. This is authenticity here at its finest. And Gull can be found on her podcast, which is Money Mindset with Gull Khan, and her YouTube channel, which will be in our show notes, or you can also find her on her blog at gullkhan.com. That's GULLKHAN, And today, Gull is going to be sharing some of her insights on 3 steps to cash flow mastery. So welcome to the show, Gull.
Hi, Victoria. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come and speak with you.
Oh, thank you for being on the show and blessing us with your insights and your information. And I love that. I love your background. Actually,
Oh,
it's so
thank you.
simple. I love your little succulents back there and your yellow lamp and this beautiful painting you have. What is the painting? What is the the symbol in that painting? Is it some sort of word or?
Yeah, that's Arabic. So it's in Arabic. It says Allah, Allah Samad. So God is one.
God is one. I love it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Anyway,
Thank
so
you.
for those of you who are just listening, there's a beautiful painting in there. So you should come over and see this in my YouTube channel. And so thank you so much for being here. And I love this topic. It's interesting because I believe, we all have some limiting beliefs when it comes to money. I mean, even if you are a millionaire, you have limiting beliefs
Yeah.
if you want to be a billionaire and you haven't gotten there yet. And if you're a billionaire and you want to be a trillionaire, you have limiting beliefs about money. And so we all have them at different levels. I have them. And I recently made myself my own recording. Actually, I've been listening to every morning, like without fail, as long as I've ever gone. And it's my money beliefs breakthrough meditation. And I listen to it
Ah,
every single morning. And so I'm breaking through some of my own limiting beliefs right now. So I'm really, this is so relevant for not only me, but our listeners who are entrepreneurs that, have these, you get into business and, and you think that you're going to break free and make millions of dollars. And then, and it takes time to build that up. And, or at least that's a belief maybe that we have. So you're going to, you're going to pull back the curtain and tell us how we can learn to break free and be more financially abundant. So I'm excited about this
I'm
talk.
excited to share with you. I want to give you a bit of background. When this strategy that I came up with, the 3 steps to cash flow mastery, I want to highlight how important it is and how valuable it is. And if, don't go by the simplicity. It is a very simple 3-step methodology, but it's so powerful. And I came up with this. We'll talk about another time about my story. And if they want to, they can actually listen to my podcast in episode 1, and you can feel my whole entire story there. But this strategy I came up with when I was sitting at my dining table, when I was going through a divorce with my husband at the time. And because of my background, I am a property investor, and so on paper I'm rich, right? I wasn't allowed, and I wasn't earning, so I was fully financially dependent on him, and he pulled the rug out my feet because he wanted to keep both me and his girlfriend. So he wanted both, and I said no, and I walked away from marriage. And to punish me, and he ended up punishing his kid too, but to punish me, he pulled the financial card. And I sat at my dining table working out, and I wasn't entitled to welfare either, because of on paper, I have property, so I'm rich. So I'm not entitled to any income support from the government either. So I had, for a short period of time, all I had was £137.14, which approximately in US dollars is about $150 to $160, coming to me every 4 weeks. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Wow.
all I had. And I had a
How long ago
9-year-old
was
and a
that?
5-year-old. Sorry, this
How
is
long ago?
back in 2016.
Okay. Oh, so
So,
just like
so
5 years ago.
yeah, not long ago. And my I did not know 2017, because in 2016 I still had some money. I had some gold which I was selling, and I was still surviving on it. When I sat at my kitchen table, I had nothing. Had literally all the gold was gone, and any kind of assets I had were gone. I had nothing left over that I could sell. No financial support from anybody. And so this is beginning of January, February. I can't remember this month, but other January, February of 2017. So 4 years ago, exactly 4 years ago from now. And this is when the strategy was born, and it became a really powerful strategy. And since then, I've gone on to teach this to many, many people. And I always say this: if you apply the principles of the strategy that I'm about to tell you and follow it with the discipline and do it consistently for 3 months, you will never look at money in the same way again. Never, never, never. This is such a powerful strategy, and I'll explain the reason why. Because I'm always talking about having the spiritual laws of money and the man-made laws of money. And through this strategy, we marry both. We marry both the spiritual laws with the man-made laws, and therefore we get such profound results in our money.
This is wonderful. I am so excited. So everybody here, including myself, is going to get to learn this 3-step strategy today.
Yes, we
And
are.
so within 3 months, if you do this every day consistently, then you will never look at money the same way.
No. And you will actually see in black and white the difference, the amount of money that shows up in your wallet and your bank account. That's how confident I am with this strategy.
Ooh.
Within 3 months, you'll begin to see it. I'm not saying you'll become a million in 3 months' time, but you'll see the shift, and you see the amount of money coming to you and opportunities coming to you within 3 months, both in your wallet, the amount of money you can keep in your wallet, and in especially in your bank account. And that will propel you further to continue with the strategy. Because if you stick with the strategy, this can make you financially free, because it's not just about making money, it's the amount of money you keep. Any wealthy person will tell you it's not the amount of money you make, but the amount of money you keep and reinvest in other ways that allows you to become wealthy. Otherwise, there's plenty of footballers and artists and musicians and actors out there who are now bankrupt, right?
Ooh, yeah.
There's many stories. It's not about the amount of money you make, it's about your energy and relationship with money, and therefore how you view and how you keep and how you utilize and how you behave with money once you have it.
Yeah, because people do have a tendency to, even though they make more money, they tend to find a way to spend it. And so you always end up staying at the same level, if not worse.
Yeah.
They've done massive amounts of studies from lottery winners who win the lottery that, they take the check, and then, several years later, they're broke again, or even in a worse position, because they don't have a money mindset that allows them to keep the money. There's one thing to earn the money, but you have to be good with money and be able to keep it. So this is great. And I'm really excited, and we're like dangling this carrot, but I'm going to dangle it a little longer, because I want to actually send a message to future potential podcasters that this is the kind of thing that I'm looking for when people come to my show, is like, give us the goods, give us the 3-step strategy or the 5 steps or whatever, like, something that somebody can take away and actually use and apply in their life. So I'm really primed and ready to get this information. So first, before you dive into that, I want to know, like, how did you go from being a banking and finance lawyer, I mean, which is so opposite of what you do. I mean, maybe not completely opposite, but yeah, I mean, it's an entirely different
I'm still an
field here.
advocate. So I'm still an advocate, but now I'm an advocate for money. That's
Yeah.
my role.
Exactly. So from banking and finance lawyer to a money mindset expert, how did you make that leap?
That's a long story. I don't think we have that time for it. But how do I do it very quickly? So I'll give a few points and try to see if we can steer towards the thing. I really want to talk about the 3 steps to cash flow mastery. So very quickly, I come from a single parent family, and my father who would be in today's day and age a billionaire, but my father did the same thing to my mother, which my ex-husband did to me. So I pretty much, you as a law of attraction, you'll understand this, I manifested my mother's exact life.
Yep.
But going back as a child, so I grew up with a lot of ambition and wanted to be like my father, like not be like my father, but I wanted to earn the money for my mother. So that's where the ambition came. However, I didn't know, and I worked really, really hard at extra, studious per child. I found out at the end of my first year of law degree that I'm dyslexic, not just dyslexic, but severely dyslexic. That
Oh,
explained why, because
wow.
until the age of 11, 12, I couldn't read a full sentence, but I never really let it hold me back. Anytime life throws me at me, I've worked, okay, this is happening. Okay, let me see how I can work around it, through it, or above it, or underneath it. I'm going to find a way around it. And that's the resilient side of me that came through. So when I found out I was dyslexic, I went on this whole new journey on personal development. I won't take too many stories, it'll take too much time. But anyway, the long story short, I became a personal development junkie. And I read everything. I started off with Tony Robbins, and then I ended up being with, listening from Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Les Brown. These are the modern ones. Then I went further back and, Thomas Stewart, Charles, there's anyone ever who's ever been in the arena of personal development, I took it on in like a sponge. So I was training myself on the side, not thinking about teaching about it, but I was doing it for my own self. Now I've set my target to become a millionaire by the time I was 30. I hit it at 27, while I was pregnant with my daughter, actually, at the time.
Oh.
So I did achieve the financial success. I did achieve the worldly success in terms of being a finance lawyer, blah, blah, blah. But life had other plans. So on the other hand is, I had an arranged marriage at the age just before when I was 20, I just turned 27 when I had arranged marriage. And so around the time I had arranged marriage as well, and then I became pregnant with my daughter, and that was an abusive marriage. So because of family name,
let me
whatever.
back up for a second. So you had already achieved your millionaire goal before
No, I did it. No, I did it while I was married. Once I got married.
Okay.
So I think I must have got married in 2005. So I think I was 27 then. So just towards the end of when I was turned 27, I hit my millionaire status. And so, but it was in that relationship, he didn't want to be the breadwinner. He wanted to be the stay-at-home dad, which is perfectly fine with me. Not so much in my culture, but for me, I was pretty cool with it. It wasn't a big deal at all. I thought, why not? I could go on, and also because he was a criminal lawyer and I was a banking finance, I earned literally 3 to 4 times his income. So I was like, that makes more sense anyway. However, that was a very, very abusive relationship. And towards the end of it, long story short, the last thing happened, he physically attacked me when I had my daughter in my hand. She was 8 weeks old. So I picked up the phone, called the police, and that was the end of the marriage. I wasn't able to divorce him because my family thought we could find a way out. And my family had to go at me for calling the police. I should have called them. Why the hell did I call the police? Bad name, blah, 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 rubbish. So in the end, again, I eventually with my uncle, the one who just mentioned earlier, who just passed away recently, he stood by me and he said, look, I'm with you. You make a decision, whatever you want to do, I'm standing by you. and therefore I filed for divorce and I divorced him. Now, once I divorced him, I ended up getting married to my second marriage. Again, another long story, won't bore you the details, but it was very literally finished that marriage in July 2008. This proposal came in September 2008. By November, 2nd of November 2008, I was married to the second guy. Really wrong. There's a reason behind it, but another time for another time. Story for another time. This marriage was the one which is worse. But I learned the most during this marriage, because this is the time when, after a little while, he put the condition down. He didn't want me to go out and work. He wanted me to stay at home. Now, keep in mind that previous marriage I had where, all these issues came because I was a breadwinner. I was happy to say, okay, fine, you want to take the responsibility? Take it. I'll stay at home. Mm-hmm. So I did. But in hindsight, I'm stupid, but I did at the time. And because I had the opportunity to stay home now, this is when I opened up and researched other areas. Like that's when I did NLP. That's when I trained in Reiki. That's when I trained in EFT, and later on into intuitive life coaching. So I was doing all these courses, once again, not to be a coach, but for my own self to become successful again. Because the idea was for me to always go back to work once my kids were older, right? Anyway. Right. Long story short, when I found out this man was cheating on me, I left him. And he pulled like I said, as I mentioned, the financial card and pulled the rug under my feet. But I said, he's got no money. And because he's weird and dodgy, whatever, I couldn't prove that he had money. There was ways for him to just hide the money. So I had nothing. Literally overnight, I had absolutely nothing. I had sold all the gold, sold everything, and I still had nothing, and I wasn't sure what to do. Now, it got to the point when I had to come to this crossroads. I could go back to law, and which at that time I'd been out of for about 8-9 years, and start from scratch as a banking finance lawyer. But I remember the money would have been okay, not great to start with, but one, I would have to still go into being a woman. You'll understand this, Victoria. When I remember thinking that even if I get in through the door, they'd be looking at me now as a single mother, thinking she has 2 young children at home. How committed we should be to the transactions, because these transactions are sometimes long and they need commitment. Would she commit to it? So I wasn't even sure if I'd really will get the job in the first place. Even if I did, because of my experience, I had really, really amazing experience beforehand. The prospect of being 4 or 5 days on a job and not seeing my kids, and so pretty much a nanny would bring my kids up, and so they don't see the mother or the father, because the father was coming around very often at that time. My kids would have neither parents. That was my main thing, that, okay, even if I overcome all the hurdles and do bloody well get the job, is it worth it? Is it worth me not being with my kids who need me at the time? There's a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. I thought that was really unfair. Yeah. By then, I had already been practicing and doing my intuitive life healing and doing a lot of work, EFT work, around money mindset for people as pro bono, just because I did. Right? So I could practice my craft. Yeah. And I realized I was getting such phenomenal results. And I thought, you know what? I can actually do this professionally. I can actually make money from this. And that's when the idea was born. And that's how I became a money mindset expert.
I love it. Oh, I love it when people have their own, transformation, and, and you obviously had this very profound transformation as you're going through all this. And then you decide, I'm just going to share this. Like, why wouldn't I want to share this with everybody else? And, and give them the value that I've, been able to give to myself. So that's awesome. So how do we change our energy and our relationship with money, around money?
Well, that's my favorite topic to talk about. I love talking about money. But first and foremost, I want people to change their feelings and emotions towards money and do it from the internally and actually mean it. I know a lot of mentors say, say this mantra, I love money, money loves me. That's so superficial and so fake, and money can hear you too. So money's not really interested in listening to that rubbish, okay? Money wants to know how you really feel about her or him, whatever your money avatar is, right? So this is why this methodology, this strategy works really well, because it's going to slowly, it's like a drop at a time, slowly but surely, it will change the way you look and feel about money. And that's what the key, and that's the most important thing. So let's get started. Step number 1. Okay. And do human me this, it seems a bit too much, but if you follow the methodology, it's simple, but there is a little bit of work involved. If you do follow it, it will pay tenfold in dividends. It really will. So the step number 1 is you need to get 5 bank accounts. Now I say 5 bank accounts, because you don't want to have easy access to the money. However, I know when it's starting off and you're not putting much into it, 5 bank accounts seems a bit cumbersome. So start off with 5 jars, 5 envelopes, 5, 5 boxes, whatever. But you have to be extra disciplined. You cannot use the money in here, and you have to be extra diligent to make sure you put money in here first before you do anything else. So this is something that extra step you have to do. It's easier when you have a bank, because when you get paid in a bank now, it's easy just to transfer money into each of these bank accounts. That's why I say 5 bank accounts. But they don't have, if you do open 5 bank accounts, they don't have to be with large interest. They don't have to have anything. They can just be nominal, minimal interest, because we're not doing it to get ROI. There's a purpose behind it. But if you can't, 5 jars is fine. Let's stick with that, right?
Okay.
All right. So
you have 5. You have 5 bank accounts. Now, let me just. Do they all need to be savings, or can they, are they checking?
They can be anything. They could be anything.
Kind of account.
Really basic accounts. Any basic account. Like I said, if you can't even get the basic account, then get 5 jars. Literally, start yourself off. Or even to test it, you can just use boxes and jars where you test yourself out for the first 3 months, and then once it starts working, you can implement it and get 5 bank accounts, right? But really basic accounts is fine, because we're not doing anything exciting with them. That's not the purpose behind it, right?
Okay. All right.
That's the first step. Step number 2 is you're going to label them accordingly. So the labels are very, very important. And the order is very important, because you're going to put money into them, each of these bank accounts, in the order I give you. So the very first one is the Me account. Now, in the Me account, it has to have your name on it. This is essential, okay? So your account, Victoria, would have Victoria's account. Mine is Gull's account. Somebody called James' account. Sandy's account, etc. It has to have your own name, okay? Very important, okay? And the reason why I said this is where it was this idea of paying yourself first has been, maybe has spoken about by every single guru you can imagine. And I remember the first time I heard about it was from Robert Kiyosaki, who said, you need to pay yourself first, right? In his Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Most people fail to do this. This is a great way to start implementing that advice. You pay yourself first. There's 2 reasons for that. One, you are then at least understanding, that you're getting the money, and you can see yourself getting money. And you're not only that, it has so many sub layers to it. As a law of attraction, you'll understand this, because now you're telling the universe, I matter. I pay myself first. So guess who's important? Me, myself, and I. I value myself, and that's why I'm the one who gets paid before anybody else, including food for my children, right? I pay me first. I'm important. That's first thing. Secondly, you will always, as this account builds up, because we're never, ever, 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 ever going to spend this. We're not going to do anything silly with it. We're not going to put it into investing thing. Yes, when it builds up to a certain amount, you can put into low risk investments like bonds or something, where you're not risking your capital too much, so you can get some ROI, but that ROI is not the purpose behind it. This money in here is supposed to be for you. It's not a savings account. It's not a reindeer account. It's not something you dip into. The intention is, I'm never going to spend it. Why? Because this money is mine. It belongs to me. I earned it. It's mine, right? And this is the energy you're giving off to universe. Universe, I'm worth it. This money is mine. And subconsciously, you're taking in the idea, slowly but surely, I have money. You never run out of money, because you always have money. You're always going to have money in this account, okay? And there's a certain amount of money that's required for every single person. Now, that's different for every single person, but I've never seen this amount be more than 50,000. So between 2,000 and 50,000 pounds, dollars rather, there's a magic number in between. Once you hit that number in this one particular, in the Me account, almost a penny drops, and your energy with money completely shifts, and you're never wanting for money ever again. I've seen this time and time again. You can't remove this money, by the way. So when you take, and I've seen this happen as well, so you think, oh, now I'm comfortable with money, and you take the money away and put it into maybe a risky investment. And even though for example, Bitcoin, I'll use that example. For example, you take it away and put it into Bitcoin. The problem is the energy that's required in this account is now no longer here. And I've done this myself, by the way. Okay, I've done this myself, where I've thought, okay, I haven't got any extra cash for Bitcoin. Let me just use this. And the problem is Bitcoin go down. And then literally what happened, the Bitcoin went down. I'm like, oh, shoot. And I instantly felt my energy shift, okay?
Yeah.
So this is why you cannot, this money never goes anywhere. Even if you hit that target between 2,000 and 50,000, the average is about 10,000 in here, by the way. You never do anything with this money, because this is not for anything else. It's just for you to feel safe and happy and content around money. Okay, that's
Okay.
account number one. Account number two is fun money. Now, why do I come up with that? It came about because of my corporate background. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but in the US, but in UK, and I think a global over, corporations pay thousands of dollars and pounds to send their team members off to have these team building exercises called corporate events. And what do? They go build rafts and go skydiving or whatever else, or whether the rubbish and playing and whatever else. The reason why they do that is because when you're having fun with your colleagues, you are releasing endorphins and you're building these new neurosynaptic connections, which builds trust, and they're able to, because you like people around you more, you trust them more, and guess what, you work with them better more. So
Yeah.
using the same principles we used here, we are building this relationship with money. Now, if I ask you, the average person, when they think about money, what do they think about? Bills, mortgage, rent, credit card payments, all of the things where money's going to go out, and they feel frustrated and anger, and half the time they're concerned, well, you know what, I'm not really sure if I've got enough to cover the bills, right? Would I have enough? And if God heaven forbid, an unexpected bill comes up, they're like, oh, do I have to dip into my credit card now? Do I have to do this or now? Because they really are stressed about the money all the time. And if they have a debt on top of it, it's even more frustrating and even more causes them more sleepless nights and so forth, right? So that's the issue we have. Now, if every time you think about money, you're thinking about all the way money's going out, all the way it's causing you stress and frustration, what kind of relationship would you have money? Not a very good one, right? So why would money come to you? On the other hand, if you flip it, if you think of money and you know you have money in this account and you think of it continuously, like, oh, I've got money in here, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. This is when you are going to have fun with the money. Now, this doesn't have to be great, by the way. So when I first started out, remember I only had £137 coming to me, and 14 pence. Let's not forget the 14 pence every 4 weeks. So at that time, all I could do was save money up every single week and take my kids to watch the movies. Okay. Initially, it wasn't even the full price. It was the early morning movies or whatever, the cheap ones, right? So you can go for, whatever. The idea was we would go movies. As money started coming in, we went to the regular movies. I still didn't have the money for for the nachos and the popcorn or whatever. I used to smuggle stuff in my handbag as and to take it for them. But that doesn't matter because we had fun. We enjoyed it. So this is so brilliant because when you're putting money in here, you're not enjoying it when you're going to experience it. You experience it beforehand. So the anticipation of going for those movies or going to that spa day or going whatever, you're going to have fun with money. You're having fun already. You're already associating positive emotions and positive energy with money. Second, when you go and have the experience with the spa day, the movie, whatever you do, you build memories, positive memories of spending money in a fun way. And again, experiencing it. Number three, when you remember, oh, I went for that spa day, that was such a good day, it was such a nice day, blah, 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 you reminisce and remember it, guess what? You're building, again, positive relationships with money. See how powerful this is? It's so bloody powerful.
Yeah.
So you, instead of thinking money is the root of all evil or money is causing me stress, you think money is so amazing. I had such an amazing time because of it. We had this thing, whatever, right? So number two is fun. Really, really important, okay? Number three is large purchases. This is the kind of money that you spend on which you normally would put on credit cards, like buying a new iPhone or iPad or what have you, right? Now, the question is, we all know.
Would this be like TVs, furniture,
Yeah,
things
TVs,
like that?
furniture, even holidays. Holidays some people put on the credit cards too. So the idea behind it is we all know that delayed gratification has so many benefits, but we don't understand how to get into it. This teaches you delayed gratification. Now, not only is that in terms of money management, the best way to go about it, energetically too. Now, guess what? Same thing applies. So, for example, you're saving up for a new iPad, right? You look into this account. One, you can see you have money. Again, I have money, which is a really powerful concept to internalize, right? I have money. Secondly, when you look at the account, you anticipate, okay, when we get there, when you have the money in the 2-3 months time, whatever, I'm halfway there. In 3 months time, I'll have the rest of the money. I'm going to go buy the iPad, and you're excited about getting the iPad. So you're already building that memory by anticipating it. Remember, you're using imagination, which we do when you think, oh, I'm going to buy the iPad. It's going to be so amazing, blah, blah, blah. You naturally just go into the mode, right? Or the holiday or whatever it is that you're going to have. And number three, when you actually go ahead and purchase it, guess how good you feel? I
Oh,
bought
yeah.
this by myself. Can you see the amount of, your heart expands and you feel so
It's a
good about
feeling of
yourself.
success and confidence and knowing that you bought it, cash without having to put it on your credit card or finance it or, do all that stuff.
See that, and that builds not only confidence in your ability, your money management, plus you're enjoying this product, whatever it is. Okay. And
Mhm.
number three, every time you think about the iPad, you think, I bought it cash, I bought it because I saved up and I did X, Y, and Z. Now flip it. Okay, because this is flipped the opposite to what normally happens. If you buy something on credit card, you pay for it not just the once, you pay for every single time you see the frigging credit card statement. Okay, you're like, oh my god, we still have that money outstanding. Oh my god, we still have that money outstanding. So energetically, you pay it every single time you see that statement, right? So on this hand, we flipped it. So this is why the third one is so important. It's large purchases. Yes, albeit in the beginning, it will take a longer time to save up. But as the money grows, as the amount of money grows, the amount of money you put into these accounts increases, this will not be a long process either. Okay, I promise you,
Right, because you're
it will
able to
get,
put more money
yeah.
in because you're attracting more money.
Exactly. And I'll explain that in part 3 in terms of how much money and what to do and how to increase the amount as well. So that will
Okay.
be apparently in step 3. So that's account number 3. Account number 4 is quite simply charity. Why? Because you can only give what you have. So when you give unconditionally, you are saying to the universe, I have it. I don't need anything for it. I'm just so blessed. I want to pass on the blessing to someone else. This is the attitude you need to have. So the only condition I have for the fourth account is it can be to anyone, Victoria. It can be to your mother, your father, your neighbor, your brother, whatever. Whatever the charity resonates with you, and it doesn't have to be churches, it doesn't have to be mosques, it doesn't have to be synagogues, it doesn't have to be particular charities, it can be anyone, including family members. But just keep in mind that it's more difficult with family members because the conditions I give you are very, very important. I'm very strict with them. One, it has
Okay.
to be absolutely unconditional. Do not barter with God, do not barter with the universe. Can you think about it, Victoria? I heard this idea so many times. Give £1 to God and God will give you 10. Why the hell would he give me £10? I don't want frigging £10. If he can give me a billion, let him give me a billion. Why should I barter with him for 10? It makes no sense whatsoever, does it? But we are
Oh, so you're
building.
talking about tithing.
Yeah, well, that's a form of tithing. I don't use the word
Mhm.
tithing because I think
Mhm.
tithing limits you. I think it's
Mhm.
about giving to anyone. You can give to churches. You
Yeah.
can. You can give to mosques. I
Mhm.
do give to mosques. So if there's a mosque being built in Pakistan or some other place in the poor region, I do give money to it. But it's
Mhm.
not the only one. It'll be one of the many that I would give money to because I can. And I'm not
Mhm.
thinking that I'm tithing. I'm not thinking I'm giving it to the God because that's God's share. I'm thinking I have it, so I'm giving it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So, and
Just out of the goodness of your heart.
yeah, well, no, I don't think I'm that good. I just think I have so much of it. I just offer someone else blessings. It's
Mhm.
it's not where my ego comes in because I'm so amazing, I'm so brilliant, I'm gonna give it to you. No, it's not. I'm thinking, well, I have so much. Why not give somebody else who needs more? That's the
Mhm.
energy you need to come from. Therefore, it has to be absolutely unconditional. You have so much surplus, you can't help but give it.
Yeah.
It's that kind of energy.
I
And
like that.
secondly, keep it as discreet as possible. Okay. And I'm really, really keen on this because if you, we are egotistical beings, Victoria, unfortunately.
Mhm.
If we make a big deal out of it, like, oh, I'm giving 100,000 here and I'm giving £100 there, I'm giving 200,000 there, we get trapped in the egotistical of, showing what we're doing. If
Yeah.
you do it discreetly, not only does it benefit you more, the universe prefers it. Okay,
Mhm.
because you're not. If, say, example, you're giving support to your neighbor down the road, who is in financial difficulty, keeping it as discreet helps him or her receive the money from you and allows the universe to reward you because you are not only just taking care of them financially, you're taking care of them energetically. And this
Yeah.
is what the universe wants. He wants you to take care of other human beings energetically. The universe is abundant, it's more than abundant. So the two things which are absolutely important for account number 4 is make sure it's unconditional. You're not bartering with the universe or with God. And secondly, keep it as discreet as possible. And that's it. And therefore, as long as you keep those two conditions, you can give it as often to whomever you like. There's no conditions on it. It could be cat charities, it could be a neighbor, it could be a family member, it could be anyone. And so that's it. So that's number 4. Account number 5 is debt/investments. Now, why is that? Now, if you think of it this way, when we think of investing or investors, uh, automatically the average person will think, well, if you're an investor, then you must be wealthy. You can only be an investor once you're wealthy, right? So we have these labels we create there, Victoria, which we all, for example, I remember most of the time we have these labels and they work against us. So when I became a single mother, I did all those, the typical ideas of struggling with time, money, crying all the time, and really frustrated, and blah 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 blah, all the tick box things that you have associated with being a single mother. I followed it because that's the label I have. When I have to think of single moms, that's what I think of, right? So I changed that identity about myself. So here we're using it positively, right? We all have in our minds, whether rightly or not, but we have in our minds that if you're an investor, you must be really wealthy. Well, that's great, because we already have this label ingrained in our subconscious mind. Now we're going to put ourselves in the same category, right? So we now become investors. So the fifth account is, well, initially you can do this in two ways. You can either keep the fifth account just to pay for your debts, additional amounts to your debts. So whatever normally monthly payments you're making, this account would go, and this money from this account would go to pay extra. Or my favorite way is where you split the two. So half goes to paying more of your debt, and 50% goes towards investments. Now, we live in a golden age where you can start investing with as little as 50 quid, right? You can buy a bit of Bitcoin, or it might not be 50 quid now, maybe 100 quid, but you still can buy it, or you can buy other cryptocurrencies or whatever. But you can become an investor even with $50 or $100, which was never heard of before, right?
Right.
So now you can, and as soon as you do, you elevate your position to that of an investor, and in your mind to a wealthy person. So again, you are now connecting with people who are wealthy, and therefore building that identity part of yourself that you are now wealthy. Really powerful, right?
Yeah.
Really, really powerful. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, because the question then is, well, this is all well and said and done, but how can I afford to pay into these 5 bank accounts? This is what we cover now. So I have a 3-tier system for this as well. So tier 1 is for those people who are absolutely struggling. And this is where I was. Remember, this strategy was born when I was in the kitchen dining table with 137 pounds, okay? So this is for those people who are absolutely struggling. So if you are at that category, you start off with 1 to 3%, okay? Obviously, you build it up to 3%. You don't start with the 3%, but you start with 1%. Now, if you say to me, "Go, I don't think I can do 1%," start with a 0.5%. And you go, "I'm still struggling," start with a 0.25%. I don't care where you start, as long as you start with a percentage, because as your income would increase, which it will, the amount of money you're putting into these accounts would increase. I don't want you to be putting an extra $1 in there or extra $2 in there. I want you to go up in increments in percentages, as well as your income goes up. And then 0.5% of $200 and 0.5% of $2,000 is two different things, right? So you need to stick to the percentages and increase the amount of percentage. So start with a 0.25%, maybe go up to 0.5%, then go up to 1%. But you have to do it in percentages, and you have to make sure that as the amount of money comes in, you are very diligent and you are quite disciplined in making sure the same amount of money goes into each of our bank accounts, right? So using for simplicity.
Let me clarify. I just want to make sure I understand. So when you said the 1% to 3%, is that across the 5 accounts, or is that in 1%
I'm going to
for
explain now.
each?
I'm going to explain.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm going to
okay.
explain now.
Okay.
So for simplicity's sake, say example, they're using the 1%, right? So you're going to be doing, for example, you make $100 a week. So every week you would take $1 and put it into each of these 5 accounts. And remember, the order is very important. So the very first account would be me account, then the fund account, etc., etc. You put 1 into each of these 5 bank accounts. That would leave you $95 for the rest of the week for everything else.
Okay, got it.
And if you feel that's uncomfortable, start with 0.5%. You can start with $0.50 with 50 cents, but just giving you an idea for simplicity so you understand what to do. Okay, this is absolutely key, because the amount of money coming to you would increase. So for example, say if next week you end up getting $200, then you put $2 into each of these 5 bank accounts based on the 1% principle, and so forth. Okay, that's the first tier. Now, tier 2 is people who are maintaining. Okay, they're not comfortable yet, they're not struggling, but they're maintaining. So these are people who are making the ends meet and they're doing everything, and but they're still not able to. They still have debts on them. They're not. You wouldn't call them comfortable at all. They're just maintaining. And if an unexpected expense comes through, ends up being on the credit card. Okay. And
Okay.
majority of the people who are listening to this will probably fall into this category, by the way. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's called the maintaining tier. For people in this tier would put 3 to 5% into each of these 5 bank accounts. Now, let me say at the outset, when you're first starting off the strategy, I'm expecting everyone to start with 1%. Why? Because this is a muscle. You need to rearrange your finances. You will have to go back, and you already are spending money on fun. You're already spending money on a lot of this stuff over here. I'm just going to ask you to rearrange your finances and make sure you look at your money and see where you have money dripping out your fingers, because you do have money leaks, by the way. Everyone does. See where money is leaking out from, and so you can rearrange it so you can put into these 5 bank accounts. But it's easier to do that when you start with 1%. And then if you start with 1%, you increase it to 1.5 to 2 to 2.5 to 3, you can get yourself to 3% pretty easily within 3 to 4 months. Okay. So even though for majority of people listening would be in tier 2, I'm expecting to start at tier 1 and build yourself up to tier 2. Okay.
And is it always an equal amount that goes into
It's
each?
always an equal amount. The difference is, as I mentioned earlier, you will hit a number, Victoria. This is different for every single person, which when you have that amount of money in your bank account, in the me account, you no longer need to put any more money into it, because a penny will drop and you realize, I have money and I always have money. And when that belief comes in, you'll know it. You just know when the pennies drop. You just know your energy changes. You no longer have to put money into this account. Keep the money that's already there. Then what you can do, the money you would put into the me account, you can now take it and put it not into the others, but then now into the investment account. So your investments start growing for you more. Okay, we're still paying ourselves, but with this time, instead of leaving in the bank account, we're not doing anything, we're not getting ROI. We don't need to do that. We can take the money and put it into an investment and allow the money to grow for us. And that's the difference. But that's not for a long time. And that amount is different. Like I said, I've never seen it to be lower than 2,000. And I've never seen it to go higher than 50,000. It's somewhere in between. And the average is between 10 to 15,000. Okay.
Okay.
So that's tier 2. And then the final tier is the comfortable tier. And this is where I'm expecting everybody to get to. These are people who actually have some savings, have some money coming in, and they're comfortable. They're very comfortable. They're not wealthy, but they're comfortable. Okay. Those people would need to put 5 to 10% into each of these 5 bank accounts. Once again, I'm expecting, doesn't matter where you are, I want you to build it up incrementally. Start with 1% and build it up to the 5 to 10. Now, assuming you make the $100 again, you would put 5%, so $5 into each of these 5 bank accounts, which means you've put $25 into these 5 bank accounts. You have $75 to live on. Again, every single level, you're going to have some adjustments. You're going to see where you can take money, where you're leaking money from, and make sure you can put it into the 5 bank accounts. This is why, as you've mentioned, it doesn't matter, as your money goes up, your spending will not increase. You will make sure that this is taken care of first before you add added expenditure to your 75%. This is the key. Now, the beauty of this is, as you start building this muscle and start focusing on money and focusing on having and keeping money, you will internalize the idea, I have money. Plus, the account number 2 would start building this happy, healthy, fun relationship with money, allow more money to come to you. Till, account number 1 is sending the message to the universe, I value myself. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. Look, there's money in my account. I value myself. And all of these accounts, one out to the other, the fourth one being, I have so much money, I'm giving it away, because I'm able to give away. I'm able to I'm so abundant, I can pass on abundance to other people. Every aspect of every account will actually help to build this idea about yourself that you're wealthy, you're amazing, you're abundant. And if that becomes your dominant energy that you're sending out to the universe, can you imagine what's coming back to you? As a law of attraction guru, you know exactly what will come back, right?
Absolutely.
And this is why this strategy works so perfectly if implemented in the way I've just described.
That is brilliant. That is a brilliant strategy. So I'm going to do like the quickest little recap here, because I've been taking notes, and I just want to make sure that everybody, got that. And hopefully you've been taking notes as well. So you're going to open these 5 bank accounts, whether they're boxes, jars, envelopes, they don't have to be fancy. And number 2, label them accordingly. Me, you pay yourself first. Number 2 is your fund money. Number 3 is your large purchases. Number 4 is for charity, and number 5 is the debt and investments account. And then you're going to have 3 tiers as to figuring out how many how much money to put in. It's either going to be tier one, 1 to 3%, tier two, 3 to 5%, or tier three, 5 to 10%. But everybody's going to start out
Everyone starts with
at
one
tier
because you
one
have to,
just
yeah,
because, yeah, it's a muscle. It's just like going to the gym, and you're not going to work out on the 50-pound dumbbells on day one. You're going to work out with the one or two 3-pound dumbbells, and then you're going to work your way up, and you're going to work
exactly.
out that muscle. And this is really your way of telling the universe, I have money. I have plenty. I have, I have enough money for me. I have enough money to have fun. I have enough money to give it away. I have enough money to pay, into my investment accounts, all of that. And I have enough money to buy things that are really important. And so this is a wonderful strategy. And thank you for sharing that with us today. And it's amazing that it's a really an amazing strategy. So I love it. Thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you
So
so much.
yeah, so tell us, like, what you mean when you say, like, because we're building this relationship, right, with money. We're building this relationship, with spirit, and these are according also to the spiritual laws of money. Like, this works
Mhm.
with the spiritual laws. Can you just give us a little bit of an understanding of what is meant by the spiritual laws of money?
That's a great question. So everything in the universe has laws, right? So there's laws of physics, there's laws of abundance, there's laws of health, and money has laws too. Okay. And
Mhm.
the spiritual laws of money, it's basically universal laws which you need to understand from the money's perspective. That's why they're important. I find a lot of people who have amazing relationships, they found their ideal mate, but still struggle with money because they've applied the laws, the universal laws, in the way of finding attracting the ideal mate, an ideal partner, yet they fail to apply the same laws because they're phased differently and they have different application to their money, and vice versa. There are other people who have applied the laws, spiritual laws of money, and are brilliant with it, but they haven't applied the laws of relationships because the same laws applied in a different way are meaningful for the for ideal partner, so they miss out. It depends on the law. The universal laws are the same, but how you apply them to any particular area of your life, that is what makes it. That's the heading. So when I talk about the spiritual laws of money, I'm talking about all the laws which will allow you to have more money, with the law of prosperity, the law of increase, the law of as we just did, the law of increase. So this is applied in account number 4. Okay, if I'm giving, I can't help but receive. You can only receive what you give, right, in the first place. So if I'm giving from this unconditional point, thinking I have a pound to give, but I'm giving it with all the love and generosity I can, unconditional love, and without any expectation back, I'm not expecting £10 back. I'm expecting nothing back. I'm expecting just love back. The universe does not like debt. So the law of increase, it will, so using the law of reciprocity, using the law of reciprocity, I can't pronounce the word now. You know what I mean, right? Reciprocity.
Yes, I do. I believe it's reciprocity.
Reciprocity. I still can't say it. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying, right? Using that law, and along with the law of increase, you can't help but get more back, and the universe
Mhm.
has to give you back. There's no way around it. So you're expecting the universe to help you, support you, and reward you, but you're not bartering. So this is why this is another one of the universal laws of money. The same applies to when you for example, play in terms of relationships. You would give that out. So you give love out to your friends, your family, and everybody else, and to yourself. And with the same principles, if the universal law of relationships, you attract a partner back. So I know these laws, if applied in a particular way, can attract anything in your life. I'm just laser focusing on making sure you have money.
That is wonderful. Okay, so a question just popped into my head. So one thing I can hear people saying, "Oh yeah, that seems like a lot of work, like that seems like a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but and you did forewarn us that it will seem like a lot of work, but it's simple and it works." And so, but what do you say, so I'm sitting here thinking, well, okay, so I I have a lot of accounts, but they're not set up like this. And my husband and I, also have our joint account, and we have our joint savings, and we have our joint things. So how does this work in a relationship? Like maybe I want to do this strategy, but maybe he just, like doesn't see the value in it, or, just wants to do it his own way. So can you be like, can you make this work? But not necessarily be on the same page, with your relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, and I unfortunately that's the reality where we are at the moment. But you know this, that as a law of attraction guru, you'll know that if somebody is not on the same page with you as you're growing, if they don't grow with you, they will, things will begin to show themselves in your relationship too. So that's the
Mhm.
first point. But that's not for you and I to sort of sit there and tell people. People recognize it themselves depending on the spiritual journey. Secondly, when it comes to relationships, my recommendation is the other four accounts you can do together. The first account has to be separate. So I get asked this question a lot. As a couple, the me account is always yours. It's never
Mhm.
anybody else's. And if you want to have a joint account for the other four, be my guest.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that, because it's just your finances together. But the me account cannot be, because it's not Victoria and James. It's Victoria by
Mhm.
herself. And it's not
Mhm.
Gull and XYZ. It's Gull on her own. So this is important, the message you get across to the universe and for yourself, that this is my account. It's me account, not us account. It's my me account. This is why it's very
Right.
personal to you. But
Mhm.
when if you find that your partner's not involved and doesn't want to do this strategy, then you have to ask this question: what's more important, your financial welfare, or you're agreeing to disagree with your partner? If he doesn't think it's worth it, that's fine. You can do this on your own. And if you do
Mhm.
want him to be on board, then explain that you're making him listen to this podcast. Who knows?
Mhm.
Something may trigger. And I have seen this. I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples of this. This
And it
strategy has
was
been for a
really
while.
just it was really just out of curiosity. Like, I just wanted to know, does it work as a, we have our joint stuff, and then we have our separate stuff. So,
The purpose
like,
behind
and it wasn't even like necessarily that like he wouldn't participate. It's just simply like, can you do this on, does this work
Yeah, yeah,
as
absolutely.
on
I
your
would I would
own, or
encourage it. I would encourage it you to
Mhm.
do this with a partner. The only difference is the me account has to be separate. The others can be
Mhm.
together, and you can be both on the journey together. Now,
Mhm.
as a couple, you probably have your finances intermingled anyway. So your energy is going to impact him, and his energy is going to impact you. So it probably works better if you do it together anyway.
Right.
However, remember, this is your journey. This is
Mhm.
your feeling towards money and money coming towards you. It may be that if you don't work at the moment and your partner is the conduit or the media, the money is coming to you, the amount of money that
Right.
he receives may increase tenfold. And then, that's a different thing. But money will find the easiest way to get to you. But it's your
Mhm.
personal relationship with money, and your partner or the business or even the location you are, your employment, it's all just channels for the money to get to you. If you
Mhm.
build that relationship, money will find a way. We
Mhm.
have your saying, God works in miracles ways. Yeah, you don't know how your subconscious mind is going to work for you and bring things to your attention or bring things for you. That's where faith comes in. But the intention needs to be, we're doing this together, but this is my journey. This is my relationship with divine energy. This is my relationship with my abundance. This is my prosperity. Because
Mhm.
every two people can be in the same relationship, same location, same home, and have two different relationships with abundance. And that happens too.
Yeah. Now, and then the other question that just there's so many questions. The other question I have is, so obviously my pay is quite variable.
Mm.
I mean, it's going to change from month to month,
Yes, of
and
course.
and obviously any entrepreneurs is going to change from month to month. But how frequently do you and do you do the deposits? Is it
All the
is
time,
it
as
month?
soon as you receive money. As soon you receive money. If you receive money on a weekly basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis,
I
whenever
receive money
you
every
receive
day, every hour.
every so if you so for example, I mean, I receive money pretty much every day in my Stripe
Yeah,
account, but when it comes into my
right.
personal account, okay, not my personal
Mhm.
account, when it comes to my business account, so this is something I want to make another distinction. I'm not talking about your business accounts. Okay, this money I'm talking to is about your personal accounts. So your
Mm-hmm.
business can make 100K a month, but if your take-home pay is 3,000, that's the money I'm referring to. Okay,
Okay.
if
Okay.
your
Got it.
take-home pay is 10,000, that's what I'm looking at. So it's what it's, and most people, most accountants will tell you, pay yourself once a month a certain amount. That's what it is. I don't want you to be paying yourself from, working, wondering what the business is doing. The business can prosper, and if you're currently taking it, because I spoke to this one of these entrepreneurs. Actually, he's a client of mine now. His business made, I think, 150K or maybe 200K, something ridiculous. But his own personal pay, because of the expenditure
Mm-hmm.
and overheads, was only about 3K a month. So this plan was based on the 3K, because that's all he received.
Got
Everything
it.
else was expenditure. You're
Yep.
not going to focus on the business. So that we focused on him taking his take on pay from 3 to 10K. And in order for him to take it to 10K, the logical way would be for him to expand his business, which he's looking to do. But don't limit yourself. The universe can reward you with other means. I don't know, windfall, inheritance, I don't know, another business opportunity, another idea comes to your mind. Who knows? Why limit yourself? So this is why this is based for your personal income, not your business income.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for that clarification, because sometimes, I'm just like so enmeshed and, between both. And so, and it wasn't until recently that I did just even start paying myself separately. And, so I wasn't even like thinking along those lines. I wonder if you can apply the same principle for your business, and like you can make investments,
You
and
can, yeah.
charitable donations, and pay your just even have all of these 5 accounts just specifically for your business as well.
There's no harm in me doing it. I do it for my business. I just
Mhm.
naturally do it for my business as well. But I don't talk about it. I don't teach about it because I'm not a business coach. So I don't give them
Yeah.
business advice. This is
Right.
why. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's no reason why you cannot. But I'm not a
Yep.
business coach, so I won't give you advice on how to maintain or manage your finances when it comes to your businesses. But there's no harm.
Love it. Love it. Well, this is wonderful. So, tell us a little bit about how people can find out more about you and I understand you also have your podcast, Money Mindset with Gull Khan. So tell us a little bit, about that, and where people can listen, and how often, and, what kind of things you talk about on there. Obviously,
So if
about money
it's
mindset,
all
but
about money. I mean, I share myself very authentically, Victoria, and I give very raw aspects to myself. I don't do batch recording. I don't believe in batch recording, apart from interviews. When I do interviews, they're different. But my own, I have on Money Mindset with Gull Khan, I have for Teaching Monday. So Monday I teach a topic, and I pick topics from my life which are relevant at the time. And when my uncle passed away, I made a topic about that. And yesterday, quite recently, I'm quite proud of the topic that I talked about, which is having my heart broken in my 20s was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I sort of go on the journey why having my heart broken took me on a trajectory which just was completely, literally, out of the frying pan into the fire. It got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And when you start listening, you think, how is this the best thing ever? But you figure out at the end why, and I explain why. So if you like what I have to teach, if you like my philosophy, the best place to get in contact with more, to listen to more of me and my madness would be my podcast, which is Money Mindset with Gull Khan. And the other way would be you can always come and reach out to me on my business page, on my Facebook business page, which is The Gull Khan, Facebook/The Gull Khan. And we also have my Instagram, which is Money Mindset with Gull Khan, LinkedIn, which is Money Mindset with Gull Khan, and my YouTube channel, which I can't remember the exact URL for that. And of course, I do have my own website, which is gullkhan.com. So there's many ways to get in contact with me. But if you're an auditory person and you like what you heard today, then check out the podcast first. I do have a book coming out, depending on when, I don't know when this episode is going to be released. I have a book coming out called The Laws of Money very, very soon too.
Oh, the laws of money. I love it. Oh, that sounds wonderful. And when is that going to be releasing? This is going to air in June. So,
Oh, okay.
when
So then it's
when do
already out.
it's
It's
already
coming
out.
out. So, but by the time they hear it, it'll be already out. It's coming out at the end of March, beginning of April.
Oh, wonderful. Well, congratulations on that. I'll have to get
Thank
myself a
you.
copy, and probably by the time they've already I've
We'll have
already
the
read
link
it,
for you.
but
Yeah, link for you to go and
by
check it
that
out. Yes,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that we put a link to that in the show notes. And of course, we'll put the links to all of the other places that they can find you and connect with you and your podcast. We'll put all of that in the show notes so people can just click on it and find out more about your strategies and everything that you talk about. So thank you so much for this. Has been such an insightful podcast, and it's been delightful to insightful and delightful that just naturally kind of came out to get to know you better. And thank you so much for all of the information and insight that you've provided our listeners of the Power of Your Mind podcast today.
Thank you so much, Victoria. It's been such a pleasure and honor for me to be here talking to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.